Greetings, fellow Slayers. Well, look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 4, now continues on with Who Are You? Faith in Buffy's body stands by Joyce while Buffy in Faith's body is carried away in an ambulance. They discuss Faith, and Joyce knows how horribly unhappy Faith must be. After the conversation, Joyce hugs Faith, who was uncomfortable with the sudden affection. Afterward, Faith goes upstairs to take a bath. Joyce can use her new body and practices phrases she thinks Buffy would say. Faith uncrimps her hair, puts on sultry makeup, and gets dressed up in black leather. Soon after, she buys a plane ticket with Joyce's credit card, then goes out to meet the Scooby Gang. Meanwhile, Willow and Tara talk about Faith, and Tara confesses that she belongs to Willow. An armored truck runs into a police car carrying Buffy, and the leather-clad operatives of the Watchers Council jump out. They capture Buffy and put her in the back of their truck. Faith attends a meeting at Giles' apartment with Xander, Willow, and Anya, who makes Faith uneasy, and she has no idea who Anya is. Faith happily tells the gang Faith is on her way to prison, but Giles tells them this is unlikely as the Watchers Council sent a team to apprehend the rogue Slayer and take her back to England, meaning they're unlikely to see her again. Faith is ecstatic at the news, and she celebrates her dancing concurrently with several men and women at the Bronze until she runs into Spike. When she realizes who Spike is, Faith speaks to him seductively and teases him ruthlessly, telling him all the things she could do to his body. When it's obvious that Spike is confused, yet attracted to her, she concludes by telling him that she won't do anything she could do to Spike because it's wrong. Frustrated and furious, Spike promises as soon as he gets his chip out, they'll have a confrontation. Faith, however, merely smirks at Spike's threat and walks away from him, and he storms out of the Bronze soon after. Elsewhere, a vampire pack, led by Boom, returns to their nest to find Adam waiting for them. Adam talks to them, discussing things the vampires fear, and concluding the vampires are a paradox. Because they're immortal, they fear death even more than mortals do. Meanwhile, Buffy awakens finds herself chained in the back of a truck with the council team. She tries to convince them that her body has been switched with their Slayer, but they are unfazed. She is merely a package for them to deliver. At the Bronze, Willow introduces Tara to Faith. When Willow goes to get drinks, Faith makes no effort to maintain Buffy's persona and says several rude, harsh things to Tara. Willow returns and points out a vampire with a girl, which Faith reluctantly leaves to slay. When the girl thanks Faith for saving her, Faith is stunned by the girl's gratitude. One of the council members, Smith, enters the truck where Buffy is being held, and she attacks them, threatening to kill him unless she is let go. However, the other members, Colin Weatherby, tell her they'll settle their affairs before leaving for the mission and prepared to die if it means accomplishing it. They then tell her to do what she wants, and, unable to go through with the threat, Buffy's forced to let Smith go. At the Bronze, Tara recognizes the fragmented energy coming from Buffy, and knows that Buffy is not the real Buffy. She forms Willow, and then Tara will prepare to perform a ritual to locate Buffy's real energy. Faith visits Riley and seduces him in the guise of Buffy. At first, Faith is overly sexy and provocative. However, she's surprised when that Riley is not interested in games, and he wants to make love rather than just have sex. After they sleep together, Riley tells Faith that he loves her, which confuses and disturbs her own identity yet again. In the morning, she attempts to leave quickly from sleeping Riley catch her flight, but she ends up having a confrontation with Forrest, who is concerned about Buffy's influence over his friend. Meanwhile, Adam's eloquence with his words has completely won over Boone and his gang, and they pledge their loyalty to him. He tells them they will announce his presence as they send them to what they fear the most. When the council team realizes that they will not be able to get the dangerous Slayer to England, they decide to kill her instead. Buffy, however, is prepared. She uses Colossus' gun to break her chains and the lock on the door. She then moves the driver's seat and leaves with the armored truck. Meanwhile, Faith, now at the Sunnydale airport, prepares to leave town by obtaining a boarding pass for a plane. Buffy arrives at Giles' place and struggles to convince him of the truth about the body swap. She reminds him about his stint as a viral demon and about his sexual relationship with her mother, which sufficiently convinces him of her true identity. When Tara arrive, with Tara being introduced to Buffy properly as well as Giles, have created a culture that will switch Buffy and Faith back the next time they make contact. After turning on the TV, they learn that Boone and his group of vampires are holding hostages at a church. At the airport, Faith sees this on TV, and despite the fact that she's about to leave, decides to go and face the vampires instead. Riley, who has controlled the situation with the police, meets Faith at the entrance and wants to help. She reminds him of his injury and asks him to stay outside. Buffy, Giles, Will, and Tara also arrive, and Giles acts hysterical in order to distract the police so Buffy can slip inside. Faith challenges the vampires inside, and she quickly dusts the other vamps before taking on Boone. As he starts talking about how Adam has shown him the way forward, Buffy stakes him from behind. The two Slayers fight, and Faith gets Buffy on the floor and starts to fiercely punch her own actual face while calling her nothing, disgusting, and murderous bitch. Buffy grabs Faith's hands with a katra, and the two reach back to their own bodies. Faith runs away, leaving Buffy stunned. The next day, Buffy and Riley talk. Buffy realizes that Riley had sex with her while Faith was in her body, a revelation that deeply troubles them both. Meanwhile, Faith leaves town in the cargo car of a train. Oh boy. So let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. This episode follows immediately after the previous episode, This Year's Girl. Joyce's credit card expires in May 2001, the month of Buffy's impending death and the gift. Faith in Buffy's body comments on Xander's sexual performance, about which she gained first-hand experience in the Zeppo. Though it was only hinted at in the previous episodes, Faith's commentary about Willow and Tara marks the first time it is stated that they are involved. Faith in Buffy's body becomes the first person to recognize Will and Tara's romantic relationship, being the first character to do so without being told. Spike will also figure out himself in the yoga factor. Will told Buffy about Tara and New Moon Rising, and Xander and Giles in the yoga factor. Faith ends up escaping to Los Angeles in the Angel episode 5x5, where Buffy will confront her in Sanctuary. Spike and Faith do not meet again until 3 years later, but Faith will remind her about their encounter in this episode, and Spike will know that the conversation is not the kind of thing a man forgets. When Faith flirts and teases with Spike and Buffy's body, Spike reveals some of the present lust he harbors for Buffy, foreshadowing his feelings for her he'll eventually realize in Out of My Mind. After Faith in Buffy's body finishes teasing Spike, he says to her, "I get this chip out, you and me are going to have a confrontation." Indeed, after his chip is removed by the Initiative, Spike and Faith actually do end up confronting each other twice in Dirty Girls and Touched. Faith in Buffy's body sees that Faith's arrest was poetic justice. The story says Faith and Buffy's confrontation graduation day part 1, in which Buffy states that draining Faith's blood as a cure for Angel would be poetic justice, as Faith was the one who poisoned him. When Will and Tara are discussing what could have possessed Buffy, Willow mentions hyena possession, as Xander was a victim of a primal ritual in the pack. Buffy reminds Giles of his transformation to a Firewall demon in A New Man, that he hasn't had a job since he was at school, and the occasion he had sex with Joyce, which Buffy found out about in Earshot. Buffy and Faith's body stakes the vampire Boone from behind when attacking Faith in Buffy's body, revealing her standing there when it does. This scene echoes Faith staking Trick and Consequences. Faith will apologize if Riley come to terms with Riley 8 years later and Lost and Found, Part 5. So now let's take a look at some production notes from this episode. The credits read, Eliza Dushku as Buffy instead of as Faith, reflecting the fact that she is playing Buffy in Faith's body for the majority of the episode. This episode marks the halfway point of the series. George Boone and other vampires evade is the real Church of the Angels in Pasadena. The use of the term contra is referred to an exchange of consciousness. The use of the term contra to refer to an exchange of consciousness could be a reference to Vulcan mythology on Star Trek, more specifically Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, in which the contra is an individual's living spirit. The contra could be transferred to another body via mind meld. All right. And now finally, let's take a look at some goofs. Okay. The scene where Will and Tara, Buffy, and Giles try to enter the church. When Will says, "But we can't, we've gotta, you don't understand, her mouth isn't moving." This is due to the episode being composed for the 4:3 aspect ratio that was common for TV episodes at the time, and Will's face was not on screen in the original pre-white screen airings. After Adam beheads a vampire, it's visible that he still has his head when his body falls to the ground. So overall, I think this episode is kind of interesting, and yeah, the fact that Buffy and Faith switching bodies, and the fact that that Faith want Buffy's body or whatever, had sex with Rayleigh. Yeah, that's not too good. So yeah. So roll I give. Who are you? 4 vampire steaks out of 5. When we tune in as we till the next episode, Superstar. So until then, here endeth the lesson.